Hold up, Gibbs. What's that song, Gibbs? RESPECT. Showing up what you mean. Respect. Just a little bit. Respect. Just a little bit. Respect.
But people, we like that.
Look at the rappers in the 90s. The lyrical ability. What they talked about. The fun that they brought. Bismarcky. Oh, baby, you got what I need. He brought automatically Gibbs start laughing because Bismarcky made you start going back and forth, rocking, laughing. That's what he brought.
All right, peace. Well, I want to welcome y'all to another episode of Info Minds Presents. We got the brother Brian Glaze Gibbs in the building. We also got the brother Hassan Campbell, two friends of the platform. And we're going to have an interesting conversation for y'all tonight. Fellas, how y'all doing tonight, man? Let's start with you, Glaze.
I'm doing tremendous.
Haas, how you, man?
Man, it's a pleasure to be in a room filled with knowledge, man. I always pay respect to my elders and those who, paved the way in these streets before my time.
Now let's get right to it, man. Now both of you guys are known for using your past experiences, right, to reach the youth and show them the right path, not to follow in your footsteps. So Hassan, you have a large platform. Glaze, you're building a platform as we speak. Today, I want to focus on some of the issues that we have so that we can have a grown-up discussion. Now, firstly, Glaze, you're giving a lot of praise to Hassan, now on your channel and in private. What is it that you like about Hassan and respect about Hassan that makes you speak so highly of the brother?
You know what I like and what I respect? Because once again, unique, different, rare. He don't follow a trend. He set the trend. So when you sit back and think about somebody that can have a voice and stand up on their own, that's what it's all about. The difference is, see, what I love more so than anything, he don't care what nobody think. Because people don't understand. As long as people talking about you, that you mean you're doing something great. When they stop talking about you, that's when you get to worry. So guess what? Like I said, I'm a fan. I watch a lot of this stuff and like, oh man. And I, like I told you, I take notes. Oh, snap. Because once again, he created. Nobody gave him anything. Nobody gave him anything. But by him expressing himself, you know what? I respect that because he's being real. And in order to be honest with anybody else, you got to first attempt to be honest with yourself.
Now, Haas, this is your first time meeting Glaze, first time interacting with Glaze. How'd you become familiar with Glaze?
If I'm not mistaken, it might have been on your platform. Because for a while, I didn't even know you was behind your platform. So it might have been on your platform.
Now, the both of you have got many supporters, but you also have a small minority of critics. Now, the critics seem to have the largest voices, unfortunately. Now, how do you guys cope with the criticism? And did you learn not to take the criticism personally? Because everybody's not built for YouTube. You got to have tough skin for this stuff, man.
I had to learn that if I'm going to be on the internet, it comes with the territory. Gibbs is older and wiser anyway. With age comes wisdom. But we all babies stepping onto this internet. So sometimes you got to school. So now I learn as I go along, coming through the door, people see there's a budget and there's views that come with dissing Hassan Campbell. Let me take you over to Kwame Brown. Right? I'm going to drop some Jews on you because people not paying attention. Kwame came through the gate. And I said, don't compare me to no basketball player. Meaning my lifestyle was different from this brother's lifestyle. You can't compare the two of us. At 18 years old, this man ran into $60 million. At 18 years old, I went to the penitentiary. He didn't like that. It caused a rift where he started beefing. I fell back completely after I apologized because I knew what I was doing, right? Now, this man went from having 20,000 people watching him in a room at one time to barely getting 3,000 and 4,000. What's the lesson in the glass bottle? I'm going to tell you what the lesson in the glass bottle was. YouTube was pushing him because he was the newest, hottest thing. But because he fell into beefing every single day, they spanking him. Moral of the story is, once you got sponsors and those commercials coming, beef is a broke man's sport. So when you're sitting up there, you entertaining beef and you beefing and you beefing and you beefing, understand that there is a brand, whether it's Johnson and Johnson, Hennessy, whatever it is, Toyota,
and not even Johnson and Johnson. Let's just get a little simpler. Let's just break it down to YouTube AdSense, beefing and SMD and all that craziness. There's no AdSense going to associate themselves with that. Is you know what it says? It's they can't monetize it. They're not going to monetize that. So you're just doing it for the sport. With all this beefing and arguing and SMD every 5 minutes, like that's not going to work. If you see all the channels that's beefing, when you go to their channel, there's no ads on there. That should tell them something right there.
But guess what? Look what you're saying. Beefing. People do not understand drama. Drama bring an audience. Even if you look at these shows, Housewife of Atlanta, anything of love and hip hop, all that. Here it is when the rating go up, when they start arguing, start fighting, start pulling each other here and we, ooh, ah, ah. That's what draw ratings. So the difference right now, a lot of them don't even understand that. Look what Hassan Campbell just said, and I love that because once again, I'm still learning. And the difference is from messing with the Infomine platform and channel, some of the things over the years that he taught me as far as when you go up there, try to stray away from profanity. But the difference is, and stay away from the nonsense. I get people attacking me all the time. And you know what? You go back to the basics. Sticks and stone may break my bones, but words would never hurt me. Or I'm rubber, you glue. Whatever you say to me, bounce off me, stick onto you. What we have to do is stop trying to fight, insult with insult. Sometimes you got to beat them up intelligently by ignoring them, by acting like they don't even exist. The difference is when you start hearing them coming with that negative energy and you're about positive, you can't let that negative energy be inflicted upon you, all the positive thing that you're trying to do. I don't try to get caught up into it. Sometimes I get caught up into my feelings. Sometimes I get, wait a minute, this dude's, he blowing things out of context, or he's lying. Or, even right now, somebody came along and say something about me not too long ago. And to me, I'm saying, hold on, wait a minute.
How do you deal with them critics? How do you deal with that on a personal level? How do you deal with that?
You know what? It all depends upon what type of state of mind I'm in that day. See, I try to wake up. When I wake up each and every morning, it depends upon like today. I say to myself, today's going to be tremendous Thursday before I get out of bed. So regardless of what, today's going to be tremendous Thursday, fabulous Friday, sensational Saturday, super Sunday, marvelous Monday, terrific Tuesday, wonderful Wednesday. So I got to build and love myself first and get myself ready for any attack that might possibly be out there. Because the bottom line, you're going to have the haters. But without the haters, what's going to happen? We wouldn't be who we are. You got people that are going to love you, and you got people that are going to hate you. If everybody love you, guess what? What would the world be consistent of? If everybody was like Adolf Hitler, what would the world be consistent of? Full of hate. If everybody was like, like right now, Mother Teresa, full of love. So everybody's unique and different in their own ways, but it's up to us to grow up. Maturity, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and understand, listen, man, we can't let any other people bring the worst out of us. You got to ignore that BS. You got to ignore that nonsense.
The month of July, that was a spicy month, bro. Now, the same question I just asked Glaze, how did he deal with the personal attacks, the attacks on your family members, just with the hate period? How do you deal with that shit? Now, coming off of, now you rebound, now you still standing strong. March through the beef with Kwame, all that was going on last month. You still here, you still creating content. But how do you deal with the personal attacks, man?
There was a time where it was really, really getting to me. And even sometimes it still may get to me because sometimes the worst attacks is not the ones from the people that you don't know. It's from the ones that you do know. Me, I try to squash as many problems as I can, because some beefs you have to squash, or like some beefs you can't win. Because and here's the thing about it, if I wasn't winning, it wouldn't even be a problem. Videos wouldn't even be being made about me like that.
During the 1980s, we had Run DMC, LL, Big Daddy Kane, Rakim, and so on. That's more of your era, Glaze. Now, these guys, they weren't what you would call gangster rappers, but we still had violence. We still had drug dealing, shootings, murders. So is it wrong for us now to blame today's rappers for the violence in America? And are rappers being used as scapegoats to explain the violent crime? Or should we hold rappers accountable for their words?
Words is only words, but he manifests the words and they become different. Just because somebody talk about something, that don't mean they probably talk about what they seen. When you look at Run DMC, you look at LL Cool J, I can't live without my radio. Run DMC, Walk This Way, my Adidas. Okay, cool. You look at the Fat Boys, you look at Kumo D, you look at Big Daddy Kane, all of them. The difference right now wasn't about none of that stuff. It was about Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. You know what I'm saying? The Treasure Street. You look at that, it was all about having fun. It was all about getting together, you know, dancing, having a good time, being fly. So you're right. It wasn't all that shoot 'em up, bang, bang stuff. But as time changed, people change. The behavior changed. What happened is, it seemed like these days in time, rappers, they want to relive the 80 street life, the 90 street life, with all the crack and violent epidemic that was going on, the war on drugs. It seemed like for some reason that these new baby boomers, they're stuck into that generation, and they feel, well, we don't have it like that, so we want to reinvent the wheel and how history repeats itself all over again. So to me, no, it's not the words, because we got two choices. You can listen to it, or you don't have to listen to it. So nobody can't use that music as an excuse, as that's why the violence is. The violence is because guess what? We are grow up in what? America is a violent place. We feel every problem that we got to solve with a gun. And as we look at and sit back and think about it, back then, you know what? To be out there in no street, you got to put down the game. I was once the problem. Anytime somebody got in my way, if I can talk with a reasonable, listen, man, it's not worth it. It's no winner. You going to jail, this one going to die. So we need to squash it. When you got people who can't be reasonable and saying, well, I'm going to attack you anyway, then that's when you use it, because it's either you or them. But once again, we can't blame words, music about what's going on. But sometimes, guess what? As they talk about enough, it's like playing Grand Theft Auto. They play that sucker and they hit the reset button. When we was coming up, we was playing Grand Theft Auto, not even understanding we was playing Grand Theft Auto. We didn't have no street reset button. It was live, camera, action. And what we have to do is get back to basic, learning how to love ourselves before we can love the next man.
Now, Haas, you know, it's the same question. We had LL back in the days, Rakim, you know, all brand Nubian, you know, all the old school rappers that talked about unity, peace, and just having fun and shit like that. The shootings, the murder. So is it wrong for us to blame today's rappers for the violence in America and our rappers being used as scapegoats? Or should these rappers be held accountable for their words?
Well, first and foremost, right? Words are spells. What you put out in the universe, it comes back. Words are spells. So rappers definitely have to be held accountable. But see, like what you say in the question that you just asked, we can go through steps and stages of that. Like, for example, when you compare the 90s rappers into now, right?
Okay.
First and foremost, look at the integrity of the man. Just looking, the style. One thing about New York rappers in New York in the 90s, right, is that there was a balance in hip hop. There was an energy in the 90s that's unmatched. Whether you take it from the rappers or the street level thugs that they was around, the gangsters. In today's time, you can't even name a gangster in New York because these dudes don't even last long enough. Look at the rappers in the 90s, the lyrical ability, what they talked about, the fun that they brought. Bismarcky, oh baby, you got what I need. He brought automatically Gibbs start laughing because Bismarcky made you start going back and forth, rocking, laughing. That's what he brought. Will Smith comes out, summer, summer, summertime.
True indeed.
Summertime.
True indeed.
And it's like, yo, when that song came out, it felt good to be in the summer. It was like, yo, we just went through New York winter, snowstorms, freezing, goose jackets, 8 balls to summer, summer, summertime. It put the fun back into the music. When Gangstar come out, some brothers gotta go out just to get a rep. Now he giving you that gangster music, but at the same time, he just told you a story on how a dude starts set tripping, and at the end, the brother he set trip on got his own. He got his revenge. They told you stories to wake you up. If you didn't catch how Jadakiss said in the rhyme, you think you Scarface, but you ain't seen the end of the movie. It's like, whoa, yeah, we glorifying Scarface, but did you see the end of the movie? When you look at the 90s, the caliber of the man that came from the 90s doesn't exist right now.
Now, Hassan, let me ask you this. You've been arrested for 225As a couple times.
125.25.
125.25 now. But you having a couple of those charges on your belt, under your belt, excuse me, not to glorify that, but how do you deal with the critics that say that you promote those instead of using them as examples? They kind of say that you promote them by you speak on them all the time. Is to say if it was really in the past, you wouldn't speak on it no more, just out of respect for the victims or whoever was involved. What do you say to people that say that?
Well, see, here's the thing, right? Let's be real. I deal with topics every day. Mm-hmm. There's no way in hell I speak about that every day in my videos. Mm-hmm. But what happens is when you speak to the youth and you basically come from the streets, you have a street energy. People could tell you from the hood. When you addressing the people of poverty and pain, the hood is in poverty and pain. Young boys do not want to hear nothing coming out of your mouth if you ain't been through the fire. The problem is that beta males are here and see like, hold up. Oh, this dude really on that time. Then dudes that feel like they tough, I knock a dude out. But this shooter, automatically they don't like you because it's like, yo, he played for keeps. So he intelligent, he got a following, and he'll turn your TV off too? Oh, nah, we don't like that. The only thing the enemy can point out of all the videos that I got is the fact that he brought up the fact that he really do get busy and he's really been to the penitentiary. If that's the only thing that you see in me, it's only because it makes you feel inferior to me. I'm superior to you. And that's the thing that you focus on. When people watch me and they in my DM, they say, you inspire me. You changed my life. I don't no longer think the same way no more because they not stuck on all he do is talk about you stuck on the fact that it's like, example, you got a man that's packing 11 inches. A woman that's only been dealing with somebody that has 3 inches, when she hit at 11, you're not filling her up. She's never going to forget that because she wants in on that. The flip side to that is these dudes is holding on to that because this is where they feel I conquered them. Because, if I thought I had any chances or wins on running down on this dude, he might hit him in the head with the headshot. You know what I mean? This is the problem with them. In this video, when they watch this video, some people are going to get back to the same question where you just asked me, oh, this dude think he tough. But if you really, really listen and we get back to that last question, because I wasn't even finished with that last question, breaking down the difference between the 90s and now and the difference between the rappers, the way it felt, the way we saw, like the smiles that was put in, or that was placed on faces when we brought up Bismarcky, the smiles that was placed on face when we brought up who would we consider 2 corny rappers, Bismarcky and Will Smith. Right? We didn't even really go down the line with all of the unique different rappers and the elements, the balance that was brought to the table. Today's time is missing a balance. It's missing a balance. Just like I say before, I say then. In music back then, right after you heard a rap song, you heard how you brought up Grand Puba. I just ran into the brother from Grand Puba. And I was I saw that.
Yo,
I felt so good to see him And it was like, yo, like this, like these dudes were so dope. And you hear, what's the 411, son? What's the 411? You gotta go. It was balanced. When you heard that do with Grand Pooba and Mary J. Blige,
Mary J.
you
All right,
knew,
Haas, you showing
like,
our
yo,
age now, Haas. Hold up, you showing our age, man. Hold on,
but you
man.
know what though?
What's the
When have you
411 though,
heard?
man?
When have you heard? When was the last time you heard a song that did that? When that music came on, you was like, do 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 do. Out of these new artists, what's the 411? Huh? What happened? When was the last time you seen a Method and Mary? You
Yeah, music has
all
substance. That's when the music
I
has substance,
need.
Haas. You know that.
But you know what though? Why doesn't the music have substance anymore? Because we are conditioned to be cattle. You have R&B artists that's on Instagram, but not on the radio. If this R&B artist is hot, why she's not flooded in our DMs where we sit up there putting the back on the forefront? Because the reality of it is we can't let the machine keep force feeding us. But this is what's happening. So now you got grown. Now let's bring it back to this time. You got grown rappers up today, right?
Right.
Dudes 35 years old, 40 years old, competing with young boys making drill music. You see what I'm saying? Let's look at the element of hip hop, right? Let's keep it all the way funky. Why a lot of these rappers don't like me, why a lot of people don't like me, is because I peeped the ugliness in our community and I decided that I want to get the broom and start cleaning it up. If you live in Jersey in a mansion, why every image that we see of you on Instagram is in the hood rolling dice with 40 people around you? I made a video talking about Best Eye. And in the thumbnail, I put Mano up there because Mano represents Best Eye. He's the rapper of today that represents Best Eye along with Big. Big's not here no more. So I put the home of Mano. And then I had to break down in the video how you got 8 people that were shot all together, 16, 17 in less than 90 minutes. 8 people inside Best Eye, right? When you look at, you sit back and you analyze this and you look at the rappers that represent this community, what is Mano always representing? Shout out to Mano. Nightlife, right? And he's always saying, I'm outside. So I said in the video, after 8 people got shot, I wanted the people to understand that Mano comes with a security team of dudes that's thorough in the street and his own set of skills as well. He's a street dude to keep him protected, right? But it's safe to say, unless you don't have this team of assassins with you, street dudes with you, it ain't safe outside. So I'm the voice telling people right now, whether you a thug or you're a kid that's going to the park to play jump rope, it ain't safe outside. Because even if you a thug, right, you go outside, you see somebody, it's about to go down. Dude coming through the hood, he got a grip on him. He backs that grip out. Automatically, he starts busting. You ain't even fire a shot. You just got yours to protect you. You move out of the way because it's none of your business. But before you get back in the building, the police locked you up. You doing 7 years in jail just because you went outside to make sure you were safe. You might have been going outside to go get a beverage, or you just wanted some air because your shorty upstairs getting on your nerves. She got an attitude, or she hogging up the TV. Let me get a couple of minutes to myself. Let me get some me time. You go outside just to get some me time. That run to the corner store just cost you your freedom. So I say, when I get the mop, and my slogan is get the mop. When you see me with the broomstick or the mop, and I'm saying get the mop, it's safe to say it ain't safe outside. But these 40-year-old rappers going on 50 years old to tell you, I'm outside. We don't see y'all in the club. I bring this up again. Mano was in the club. His shorty got shot in the club. He couldn't protect her. I want people to understand. When you open up a door and you give people an invitation, you are inviting people to their early grave or penitentiary chances when you telling them to come outside in the streets that are dirty and not cleaned up. Back in the days, you had OGs that would come outside and squash beefs. Now you got brothers that's working for the precincts and working for little organizations, guns down, gloves up. Because this generation is lacking That OG that says, yo, when I tell you, when the OG back in the day said, if Nicky Barnes said, or one of the older dudes said, yo, this is dead, y'all gonna dead that, they knew that they had to dead that.
You look at that, man. That's very powerful, because even right now, Hassan, when you even made mention of Nick, I caught flashback because I met Nick. Nick was a hell of an individual. May his soul rest in peace and his spirit be lifted. And people don't understand, highly, highly intelligent. Even right now, he hate when us brothers used to be around using the N-words. Even with my experience with him, you know, I was there, young knucklehead, probably right now the same age he was when he got in the street. I was in my early 20s when I got there, and I got around him. And he was trying to go to school, get a degree, do this, do this. I used to take class at Marist College, and I used to get C's, and I was winging it. And he used to get mad at me. Yo, hold on, wait a minute here. Why are you selling for C? I said, Nick, I'm not barely doing anything, and I'm getting a C. I'm all right with that. Why selling for C when you get an A?
Now today, if one of these so-called OGs tell one of these young boys, yo, you better dead that, them young boys gonna air him out. Like who? Because there's no respect. There's no respect. These young boys, like, we had to raise ourselves. And as we get older, we see that
you know what, Dawes? Just to interject, I don't think it's nothing changed, because look, when we was coming up, we had Just to Get a Rep, Stick Up Kids Is Out to Tax. We kind of had the same thing. It was the same music. It's all about the choices, but we had the same.
It wasn't the same.
You know what I mean?
It wasn't
as fluent. It wasn't as fluent as it is now.
Let me ask you a question, right?
All right.
If I made a video pissing on your mama's grave or your cousin's grave,
we definitely didn't have that.
Like there's some things, right? In this new generation, your favorite cousin caught 3 to the face. 2 days later, a dude is rolling up a blunt, named the blunt after your cousin, said, I'm smoking that. You ain't even hit the funeral yet. How do you see what I'm saying? Like back in the days, I remember when Slick Rick, right? He had a beef with B.O. and them. They had a mean shootout. Zulu Nation versus Slick Rick and his crew.
Allegedly.
Make a long story short, these brothers at some point in time squashed their beef. That was a legendary moment in hip hop. Them brothers came together, and at some point in time they squashed their beef. When you make a record and you are happy and in bliss that somebody that I love with all my life passed away, there is no squashing that. Now, see what makes it even harder. Okay, so you made that song, boom. I just aired you out for making that song. Now on this side, we just made a song and told everybody we aired him out. We done closed his curtains, rocked his snot box, right? You done rocked his snot box. Now it's a back and forth where you done have over 30 individuals that y'all celebrated their death when they died by smoking on weed, smoking tuka. There was a limit. There was a balance in our music. And I said this before, and I'm going to say this again. When Tupac died, Mobb Deep just dropped a song called Drop a Gem on Him. One of the illest diss records ever. Tupac probably died 2 or 3 days later. They had that they themselves removed that record from the radio out of respect. You see the difference? There was a respect. Even though dudes wanted you to understand that they got busy in their songs, it was still a message in the song. If a dude gave you a record, like Mobb Deep came out with Shook Ones, they will come out with another song to put balance back in the album. It's the real hip hop. They will come with balance where you'll get it was a such thing called a complete album. Do you understand? You know the crazy part about it is this generation is so confused. The top dudes in the music game is Drake and J. Cole. And neither one of them ain't talking about killing nothing. That's the crazy part about it. But there's an element out there because our children are raised in poverty. They got them feeling like instead of getting the bread and bringing it back to the village, you want to prove that you can kill a village in the process of getting the bread and they're getting life in jail at the same time. Gibbs, what you think?
Look what you're talking about, man. Like, for example, I love everything what you just said, because the fact is right now is you're right. It's no balance. Back then, if you talk about somebody mama, them say you tell another man to suck your wee-wee, that's the death penalty. And the difference is I'm listening to all that stuff like you say right now is here it is. You just kill a family member and you smoking a dead. See, all that stuff people don't understand. We are, like you say, our worst enemy. But once again, they don't quite understand. Back then, it was that word called respect, and respect means respect. Only way you're going to disrespect that or go across that line, piss on somebody's grave or pull somebody's casket.
Hold up, Gibbs. What's that song, Gibbs? Respect. Showing up
Read
what
the,
you mean, me. Respect.
read the
Just a little bit. Respect.
respect.
Just a little bit.
But
Respect.
people,
Just a
we lack that. And the difference is right now is, guess what? It got to go back to the original teaching, because people do not understand. You're right. The difference was I part of that problem. Yes, I was, because once again, a lot of people got infected one way or another by that poison from the crack or for a murder parent, grown up in poverty or whatever. But guess what? It have to stop somewhere. We got so pissed off when we watched during the pandemic how that officer choked out the life of, I'm saying what, George Floyd? We got so messed up about that. But guess what? I was doing that. So many other people was killing one another, our own people. We wasn't going against the Ku Klux Klan. We wasn't going against the Proud Boy. We was going against each other. We was our own worst enemy. But yet and still, like you say, look what the hell you talking about. That's a lot. Respect. How can I respect you if I don't respect me? How can I love you if I don't love me? And that's the difference. We got to go back to the basic principle. And you're right. You got to choose your word carefully. What the heck you doing? Who's out there telling, yo, man, what the hell you doing? Who's the adult? Who's the OG? You out your mind. You about to start a war. You about to get 1 million people killed over you just piss on this man's grave. You just smoking. The things they don't even quite understand the magnitude of their behavior, of their action, and the repercussion that's going to happen. So the difference is, if you can get people to visualize it, guess what? That slick stuff you think you doing, guess what? We all gonna pay. And is it worth it? Oh, I didn't thought about it that way. Because they not thinking no more. They stopped thinking a long time ago. They just collecting their $200 and just go past go. So it is our duty to get back to the basic. And to me, I look at everything I did. And only way I'm able to be who I am today, based upon pain. When I inflicted, pain by snuffing out people's life because of the game, because my enemy get them before they get me. You know what? I didn't know how I felt. I didn't know how I felt, the type of pain and suffering that I inflicted upon the victim and their family, until I lost my mother. I'm in jail. And when I lost my mother, who's my mother, my big sister, my best friend, when I got that message and I'm in jail, you talk about cry? You talk about breakdown? You talk about when you in jail on top of jail because you in a hole? And then right now, you don't have nobody to hug. They telling you your best friend, your big sister, your mother, your father, your big sister, your best friend is gone. You can't even, how can I go on without her? But what I'm saying is, guess what? It took her pain. It took her death to when I got sentenced. I told the judge, I can't blame Fat Cat. I can't blame Pappy. I can't blame nobody for what I did. Everything I did it because that's what Brian Glaze Gibbs, wanted to do. It took the death of my mother to help me to understand the pain and suffering that I inflict upon the victim and the victim family. And that type of pain, I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. So sometimes you have to put your foot in that next person's shoe to understand. Do you really understand what you're really doing? A lot of time they don't. They are lost. Just like I was lost. Just like one time in life you was lost. But what happened? The longer we live, we're able to get out of that nonsense, that negative, and that evil, the demon. We're able to back away from that. We are blessed. We are chosen. We are blessed. And that's why I said when I listen to your message, it's a message behind it. And what I'm saying, I love the fact, right now, like, okay, I got to admit, You can sing. You sound a little bit better than me, man. But I gotta admit, because I like to get. I like to. Hey, look, man. I used to sing in the church choir. I feel like I can sing, but I be watching. You be like, okay, RESV. Okay. You got me there. So listen. I gotta get credit and credit.
Now, Glaze, let me ask you this. Glaze. Now, that road to redemption that you walking got to be a mean road, man. You inflicted a lot of hurt into a lot of people, and I know you dealing with that now that you're in the space that you are mentally. What's that like? That road to redemption, like, man? Because it got to be a mean road, man.
You know what? Like I told you, man, it's a heck of a road. In the different woods, man. Like I say, I had a lot of problem upstairs, man. You know how what was the barge, man? You probably can help me out with that, Hassan Campbell. I had a problem. I had problems. I had a bunch of problems. And it was upstairs from trauma. It was upstairs to like the anger that I had, that I used to black out. So the difference is right now is, when I got in, they wanted me to see a psychiatrist. I'm not seeing no psychiatrist. But the difference is right now, because I don't feel nothing was wrong for me. But as time went on, and you have to confess, and you have to, whoa, how the heck I became like that? But because there's a lot of, every time I got upset, I didn't see nothing. I black out. Every time I got upset, I got so mad. You know what? I didn't care. I can be afraid of you. But when I get mad at you, one of us is going to die. And what I had to do is I had to back away from so much. And
it's crazy you said that. It's crazy you said that. You know what people don't understand about me, right? You see how you're a blogger right now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, if somebody came at you in your home, 9 times out of 10, because you were skilled for years at doing what you was doing, you have the upper hand. Some people don't realize that. So now if you sat up there and told somebody like, listen, man, if it's on, it's on. Oh, you glorifying that life. No, I like to work in my garden right now. But in the streets, I came equipped with I developed a certain amount of skills to protect myself if it's on. So it's not that we glorifying the fact that we are good at what we do. If you take a soldier from Iraq, Afghanistan, and you put them in a coffee shop, they're never going to forget all that time they spent on that battlefield. So when you come up in there and they got a gun on their waist and you got a gun on their waist, don't think that you're just going to walk through them. And this is what people have to understand about dudes like Brian Gibbs and Hassan Campbell. Like, we really, really put it in once upon a time. It doesn't make us a hypocrite to let you know that we still defend ourselves.
But you know what? Like you say, because at one point in time, that's all we know. And even now, what I try to do is not to put myself in that predicament. When I got close this time to becoming free, to get my freedom again, and right now is I had the opportunity to come back to society as Brian Glaze Gibbs. And as I'm sitting weighing all my options, if I come back to society as Brian Glaze Gibbs, here it is. I can try to do everything I want to do right and be a law-abiding, productive citizen. But the difference is, soon as a cop stopped me for routine check, they know who I am, ask me for registration. As you go into your glove department, you know what they do? Because I'm Brian Glaze Gibbs from the past, not that I did anything since I've been out, they gonna blow my head off because of my past. So the difference was I took advantage of the United States government. They gave me a whole new ID, a whole new identification. And people don't understand that because once again, who the hell gonna give Brian Glaze Gibbs a new job, a new opportunity? You know what? Nobody. And even when I got out, the closer I got to getting out, for the very first time in my life, I became afraid. Why I became afraid? Because I asked myself, what if somebody break into your house? What if somebody did something to your family? And for the very first time, I'm so used to, if I got a problem, I'm not worrying about it. I'm going to get my vest. I'm going to get my jammy. I'm going to do what I have to do. Now, from being away and changing my whole mindset, the first thing creeping to my mind, if somebody hurt my family or break into my house, I got to be like every other law-abiding citizen, pick up the phone. And that was a scary feeling. But my whole mindset have changed because, to me, and don't get me wrong, there's certain things that's in you, but what you try to do because you know I got a hell of an opportunity to be free. You know how many people you got like right now wishing they had another shot because they did something foolish between the age of 14 and 24 that never got another shot? I got another shot. I got
That's
more
true.
than one
That's
shot.
very
And I
true.
say to
Very
myself,
true.
you know what? If I had to get out of here and collect aluminum cans, I'm not going back. When I got out at 33, I told them I'm not going back. If I got to go from garbage can to garbage can to garbage can and collect aluminum can, I know within a 12-month period, I can collect 1 million to 1.5 million can at 5 cents a pop. That's 50 to 75,000. The U.S. Marshal and, you know what I'm saying, the U.S. probation officer, I didn't know that at the time. They went downstairs and they laughed their ass off. They say, this dude's crazy. Look at his background. He got X amount of felony. He got all these murders. He's a career criminal. They gave me 45 days to last, 90 days to last. And you know what? I like when the gun's to my head because you know what? Never went back, never looked back. And you know what? The same thing I'm doing now is the same thing. I was blessed to given another opportunity. So you know what I'm doing? I'm coaching, I'm counseling, I'm training and letting people know if I can change, anybody can change, man.
You know what's crazy you say, Gibbs? Let me piggyback off of that. You see how you say you ain't never going back? I tell people all the time, I'll never tell people that I'm never going back to jail. You know why? Because I realize by the time the police get to the crime scene, there's already a body on the floor. And I personally feel like if it's me or you, one of us got to go, you going to go. I always got, see, the one thing that's never going to change about me being Hassan Campbell is the fact that when I say there's a war going on outside, no man is safe from, I mean that. We are a people on stolen land who have ancestors that's never been revenged. We have never avenged our ancestors. We got kids being slaughtered in the streets. We've never avenged that. So my whole thing is, at some point in time, there's a war going on. And as men, if we really men, hopefully we could change things by the pen, because the pen is mightier than the sword sometimes. But we 400 years behind in the war we should have been fought. So at any point in time, will we get in, will we fit in this war? Jail comes with that. 2, I'm a father. And when I sit back and I look at the situation with the dude Brother Polite is in right now, right? I picture myself being the father of that 14-year-old girl, and I'm looking at the news, breaking news. This just in. Brother Polite has been arrested. DNA evidence of this man's semen was found on this little girl's forehead and chest. There is nothing to talk about with the police. Jail is too good for you. Because we learned in America, if you got a certain amount of money, they might bargain with you and give you less time because dudes get away with murder. As a father, I know there's certain things that a man owes to his child. I don't know who's the father of that little girl, but I'm talking to you. You have an obligation to protect your daughter, and you failed. I'm not saying it's your fault. It could be the mother's fault. It's her responsibility to pick and choose who she let in her daughter's life. But when that mother failed that daughter, it's on the man to step up. And I promise you by Almighty God, as long as I'm breathing, I don't care if I'm in a wheelchair. If I could get up on you after you hurt mine, I'm not waiting for the police to give me justice. Because at the end of the day, some things I feel like jail, I could be proud of myself for going to jail for. Back in the days, we didn't air dudes out just to get a rep or to protect our friends or to protect the turf. Mm-hmm. When it comes to man, woman, and child, protecting the village, protecting the tribe, every man until he dies has an obligation to put on that warrior's mask and that warrior spirit to protect. The police or the slave patrol is only there to keep their cattle in line. It's a man's job to protect.
New York is known for setting trends, hip hop, b-boys, MCing, graffiti. And do you feel that New York has lost its identity? And if so, why? And let's start with you, Glaze.
I don't think New York lost its identity. I just think more people became more creative. See, and people do not understand. We talk about New York. It's like when you start talking about New York, you start talking about Chicago, you start talking about Los Angeles, you start talking about, you know what I'm saying, anywhere. Everybody migrated. Most of our family, where they migrated from? They migrated from the South. And they start going to Chicago, start going to Detroit, start going to California, start going to New York for better opportunities. So technicality, all of us ain't nothing but a bunch of country bunking. Where at one point in time, yeah, we used to be known for the fashion capital. We used to set trend. Now you got people got their own identity, setting their own trends.
For me, I gotta disagree. Because of course, most definitely, we lost our style. We lost our personality. Jay-Z said it best. It's like New York's been soft ever since Snoop came through and crushed the buildings. I'm trying to restore the feeling. F the law, keep killing. Money, cash, hoes. That was the ignorant hole. We had a unique style. I have people hitting me up all the time telling me that they can't stand New York with the drill music because the one thing that made other states fall in love with New York was our originality, which we lost. For two, when you talk about America, a Mexican, right? This land here, we didn't migrate from the South. That's the lie of the slave master told us. We didn't migrate from the South. Well, now, what we did was land was spacious. We occupied this whole land. They want us to think they just dropped us off and we started spreading from the South. That's bull crap. What they did is they started their slaughter from the South and moved all the way to New York and everywhere else. Mexico is a part of America. It used to be called a Mexican. So what they did was they started slaughtering and killing off the different tribes to erase our history of who we really are. There was Africans already on this land already. There was other people and other tribes on this other land already from different places all over the world. We was already travelers. But what they did was they conquered us. Now, when you look at Tupac, you get to the hip hop, you look at Tupac. Tupac was one of the illest dudes because he lived in Baltimore, Boston. He spent most of his time in New York. He was out there in Oakland. He just spent time in LA. So this dude picked up many different styles from many different places, which made Tupac unique. But the best of Tupac, the truth of the matter is, if you sit back and you analyze Tupac, is he had New York swag. He had New York swag. That's what made Tupac dope. With the things that made, like the things, look at Nas. Nas is a rapper you cannot compare nobody to in the music industry. Look at Biggie. Somebody that you cannot compare nobody to in the music industry. I don't care how much Tupac claimed the West Coast. He was New York. You can't compare nobody in the music game to Tupac, right? Let's keep going. Big Daddy Kane. You can't compare nobody to Big Daddy Kane. You can't compare nobody in the rap game to KRS-One. You can't compare. Actually, you could compare a lot of dudes. Chuck D. Okay. You can't compare nobody to Chuck D. But the crazy part about it is when you look at Kool G Rap now. Kool G Rap birthed a lot of these dudes on the low. Kool G Rap, Biggie will tell you that his storytelling came from Kool G Rap. If you sit back and you listen to M.O.P., which you can't really compare dudes to them, but you could, if you look at Kool G Rap, you can see the offsprings of M.O.P. You see, no other rap group is like Mobb Deep. Now, when you start going, and I didn't even go through all of them. Now, when you start going through these other states, you see their similarities. Everybody's the same. New York birthed legends. When Snoop first came out and Dr. Dre, there was nothing like that. Absolutely nothing like that. When Scarface and Ghetto Boys came out, this is what we birthed: originality. Originality. When you turn on the radio right now It all sounds the same. Throw it in the trash. And this is why New York is losing, because we birthed everything when it came to hip hop. And everybody came, like, when you look at Outkast, I'm sorry, Miss Jackson, I am for real. Never meant
Never
to
meant
make
to
your
make
daughter
it.
cry. Like, hold up.
Yeah.
Who is busting out with music like that right now? New
Nobody.
York birthed the greats of the greatest of the greatest in every state. And now, slowly but surely, they done gave hip hop the lethal injection. The one thing that New York, and people get mad at me, shout out to Dipset, shout out to Jim Jones. I don't be trying not to be so hard on Dipset and Jim Jones, but that was the death. Dipset was the final blow, the death of New York sound and hip hop. When it flooded New York with that gang culture and we started mimicking everybody else and killed our own originality. You know how many people look at me when I put on my coats from different places like, yo, that coat, I wish the temperature was like New York. That coat is fat. It's fire. New York got to bring back that New York energy where we go somewhere and we stand out. We don't fit in. That's the problem now. Dudes is not standing out anymore. We fitting in with everybody else. We used to stand out. When a New York dude went somewhere, everybody either loved us or hated us because the women everywhere wanted us. Now, when you go to the South, you go to different places, them women are clowning us. We lost our originality. We lost that last dragon glow that New York used to have. LL was unique. Everybody, I had a girl, I was messing with a girl from California. She was clowning LL. Y'all New York dudes think y'all all that. Running around with one sweatpants leg up and the other one down. Talk about you don't know if you want your leg to be hot or cold. I was laughing when she said that because she was a dime piece. But at the same time, people either loved us or hated us for our style.
Now, Glaze, let me ask you this. What do you think of rap music right now, Glaze? And what's your opinion of it? And do you listen to it at all?
You know what? It got to be something catchy, man. And I couldn't even tell you, man, like as far as like my interest in rap music, like literally, I couldn't even tell you who's who or what's what no more. I catch some of what the baby. I think the last person that I really caught as far as in hip hop was probably Lil Wayne. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm just saying, because once again, it's like certain things, like as far as like what Hassan say, it's not the same. When you talk about summertime, man, like every time I hear a song, I think about where I was at when that song came out. Summertime, I was in. Sorry, Miss J. See, those are things that you sit back and think about because unique is different. And some of the things like I agree to disagree, but he was right when he said as far as right now is like he gave me flashback. When you start talking about the fashion, one leg up, one leg down. You start talking about the BVDs and all this other fashion, quarterfield, Strata jacket, Pumas, Adidas, British Walkers, Playboys, Kangos, all that good stuff or whatever. And right now, you're right. At one point in time, we did it. We set as far as the fashion trend. And I guess what? We are like right now, I think me and Hashan is probably like a little over a decade apart. And like you say, it's a different time and era. But once again, see, all wise man seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. And a lot of times people don't understand it, whereas I'm listening to him make a lot of valid points. Like he said right now, when you start talking about summertime, you're right. We couldn't wait for the summertime. When you start talking about right now, crust, grooving, body moving, crush groove, y'all, body move, y'all. This is something that we don't rehearse. DMC rock second and run right first. I can't live without my radio. Come on, man. Fat boys. Come on, man. Those was the days, man. That's when music was music. And you basically kind of understand. It was simple sounding, but you understand it. Now, what did he say? What was that? So you're right. I'm out of touch with that.
Now, Neek has suggested he and Wack hash out their differences by setting up a meeting with the Nation of Islam leader, Minister Louis Farrakhan. Now, Wack said, ain't no chance. Do you agree with rappers, and what do you feel about rappers that go to Minister Farrakhan to resolve their differences instead of just reaching out to a person man to man, camp to camp?
I gotta give me credit for trying. I gotta give him an E for effort for trying. Right now, personally, I feel like Wack is not in a position to bring peace because he has an agent of destruction called Tekashi 6ix9ine. And Tekashi 6ix9ine has an agenda. There's an agenda with him. He's coming with destruction. And as much as I like Tekashi 6ix9ine, I speak to Tekashi 6ix9ine. I speak to him on the phone. Tekashi 6ix9ine has to generate an energy of mass destruction to keep himself relevant. Like some people sat up there and they said about 50 Cent. Yo, why is 50 Cent so quiet right now while all this is going on? You know why? Because 50 Cent created so much trolling that to the point to where that his trolling fed his belly. His belly is full. Right now, he's dealing with the sex, money, murder story. He's dealing with the BMF story. He's sitting up there dealing with Power story. He's dealing with Power Book 1, 2, 3, 4. This man is he trolled so much.
You know how to do it.
That to the point to where that it brought so much notoriety to him where he don't have room or time to troll anymore. He's too busy creating his last and probably his final masterpiece. He don't after this, 50 doesn't have to touch anything no more. To whereas Tekashi right now, and Wack being affiliated with him, Tekashi has to keep an energy going of destruction. And people don't realize this trolling stuff can be very, very destructive. It's causing the West Coast to rise up against the East Coast to rise up against the West Coast, where you got brothers. And I'm glad you brought this up, right? Do you know what it feels like when you got the blood of a slave and the heart of the king, and you got your ancestors in the essence just watching over you, and you listening to a black man tell another black man that you are banned? There's a no-fly zone in California, or there's a no-fly zone in New York for Wack, or there's a no-fly zone in LA for such and such. My whole thing is, how does a black man have the audacity to tell another black man that he can't travel the earth, a country where you are stolen property? You have a slave telling another slave on the plantation that you can't come to this neighborhood where you still enslaved in. But you're not telling the colonizer that we overthrow you in this neighborhood right here and you can't come back in. You're not telling him not to come back. But you're going to tell another black man that he can't come somewhere where you're captive at by the colonizer. You're still held hostage in neighborhoods that's called the projects. But you're telling another person that they can't come somewhere where you still suffering poverty and pain. Do you hear what you're saying, slave to the next slave? Do you understand the mental illness behind that? Do you understand the treason that you are committing on your own brothers and sisters on the plantation is equivalent to you being in that movie, that TV series Spartacus? Y'all gladiators fighting on the arena, clashing swords at each other, while the conqueror, the slave master, is sitting in the galleria on the rows watching y'all
eating
salute
grapes.
each other. They eating grapes while y'all slaughtering each other. You can't come to my hood. Do you realize what you're saying?
Now, Glaze, what do you think about that? The whole thing about Meek Mill reaching out to Farrakhan to put some water on the situation and come to some type of understanding with Wack's camp.
You know what? It all depends, man. If he's sincere his approach, I think is good. But if he's just doing it as another publicity stunt, then you know what? A lot of times right now, like, you know, sometime right now, if you really sincere in your approach, you can get it done. But the difference is, once again, is this is like a publicity stunt or is it real? So a lot of times
you hit it in the head. But you said the perfect word, publicity stunt.
Now, in the past 5 years, you've had so many rappers get caught up in indictments: 6ix9ine, Casanova, NBA YoungBoy, YFN Lucci, AR Ab. Just to name, those are just the top ones that I can think of off my head. Rollo. I mean, is there a target on rappers, or do they have to take self-responsibility for knowingly associating themselves with gangs? Or do you have any sympathy for the predicament that they find themselves in now?
You know what? Like I told you right now, anybody that get caught up into that craziness, you always got sympathy because once again, sometimes like right, look what were you talking about? Look at the time and era, the social media, when you got folks actually going up there telling on themselves. So when you got like the cameras everywhere, I'm talking about when we was coming up. Here it is. The only time we can take pictures where you could take pictures back in the days, Hassan.
Amongst family.
When the only time, huh?
Amongst family and friends.
Family. Yeah, but besides that, when we want to take pictures, you know where we used to go?
42nd Street.
The Deuce. We used to go to 42nd Street. You know what I'm saying? The Deuce to take pictures or whatever, you know? I'm just saying in general. But now they got cameras. They take pictures everywhere. Everything got to be recorded. Everything got to be put on film. Everybody show you how much money I got. Everybody got to show you how much gun and drugs and what I'm doing. So when you see right now, everything's being telecast, everything's being broadcast. They filming themselves. So when you filming yourself, because guess what, your life become what we fronting. So we want the camera on us at all time. So when you got the camera on you all time, how can you get out of your own way when you done set the booby trap for yourself?
Right. Some of them we have sympathy for, and some of them we can't have sympathy for. Some of them we have sympathy for because those are our nephews, our brothers, our cousins, it's our family. And some of them you can't have sympathy for. You know, at the end of the day, sometimes the trash got to take out the trash, and that's the bottom line to it. But the reality of it is they got to understand something. The trap has been set. They done put the most beautiful things on that trap to catch you, to lower you into that trap. It's like when you get online or you go through Hunts Point, right? At one point in time, I don't know if it's still the same way. You go through Hunts Point and you seeing a chick out there 3 o'clock in the morning in her damn panties and bra. You're like, all right, I'm going to get me some quick hay. Next thing you know, the boys in blue, as soon as she get in the car with you and you exchange that money, or now you got the police rolling up on you and you getting locked up. Now you a school teacher or you work a profession somewhere and you locked up and you got to call home and tell your wife like, yo, they just baited you. The trap has been set. The trap has been set. All it takes is for your stupid ass to step on it. And see, the thing about it is you can't really call all of these young boys out there stupid because the reality of it is when you see your mother getting $60 or $120 every 2 weeks to take care of some kids on welfare, and you decide, you know what, I'm going to be a man because my father ain't there, and try to figure out how to make a way out of no way, I can't call them stupid. The trap has been set. The wolves got to eat. The babies got to eat. And at some point in time, some of these young boys do actually go out there and say, you know what, I'm not going to see my mama starve like this. And some of them do it just to get a rap.
And when you see some of these old New York guys, like in their 40s, you know, older rappers shouting out gangs, different sets, throwing up gang signs, what goes through your mind, Glaze?
You lost. The difference right now is, guess what? The older you get, you got to let that BS go. And you got to start living by example. But when you still getting caught up in doing stuff like that, that means you are completely lost. You're still stuck. You haven't grown up. You still thinking you their age. So you're not looking at yourself as you're 40 or you're 50 or you're 30. You still thinking you're 15, 20 years old. So that's as bad. You brainwashed and you stuck and you don't want to grow up because that's the only thing you know. A lot of times people don't want to change because they don't know how to change or they feel change is too complicated. But the difference is, no, what the hell you throwing up gang sign? You know what? That's how backward I don't even know what a gang sign is. I don't want to know what a gang sign is because once again, that's not who I am. I don't even care. When we was coming, we didn't have no gangs. Now it's a whole totally different era. You know, so to me, regardless, if you still, 1,000 years old throwing ghost gang sign, you're lost. And you will always be lost.
If I'm a criminal, I don't want the world to know that I'm a criminal. Once everybody know who you are, it's hard for you to commit a crime. So my job is this. You see what I'm saying? As a gang member, once you let the world know that you're a gang member, you let them know how to defeat you. So my whole thing is I'm old school. I like the mob. The mob wants you to know or feel like they don't exist. This is how they stay in power. Once this establishment calls the USA or the US, whatever you want to call it, knows that you are a gang under the Patriot Act, there is a law that basically says that you can be labeled as a terrorist under the Patriot Act. If they use the Patriot Act on you, they can put you in jail indefinitely or exile you out this country without a trial. When you understand how they say no weapon formed against you shall prosper, no, it's prospering. And you forming this weapon against yourself by allowing people to know who you are. The only people that should know that you are in the gang is the gang that you in that gang with. When you know that there's laws that's being passed to destroy you. If you see that they're hitting you with 3 or more RICO law and locking up your whole community, you just seen Non-Trey get locked up. You just seen Casanova and the Apes get locked up. I just seen brothers down at Harlem called the Wagner Projects, the Chico gang. I never even heard of them. In order for them to lock you up, they have to know that you exist. You are making too much noise if the police know that you exist. If the police locked me up, when they locked me up, they didn't know what to call me and my crew. We knew what we were. They didn't know what to call us. So if you could be identified by the machine as being a gang member, you already failing. They should never know that, who you are. That's why I thought in New York, right, in the penitentiary system at one point in time, I thought the Crips were smarter than the Bloods because the Crips would tell you, and then they said they was able to do it. If you ran down on a Crip and you asked them, was they Crip? You'd be like, nah, I ain't Crip. If you was a Blood, you'd be fooled. Well, who's the smarter one?
Why do you think it is, man? The trend is being, gang affiliated. Everything is about criminality. Why you think so many rappers are wanting to be gang affiliated or perceived to be gangsters? We live in a society where you get praised for being a gangster and having that gangster image, but laughed at when you labeled as a square. I like to say that I don't glorify anything that I can't put on a job application.
But
you know what I mean?
Look what you say. The difference is, and that's how backwards and brainwashed that once upon a time that, I was and so many others. And what I mean by that, I can remember a time, being in Cypress Hill housing in Brooklyn, East New York. And I remember a guy, may his soul rest in peace, James Butler, Blackguard, came home. I think he did 2 bullet run around C-76. James Blackguard came home looking like a Greek god. He was all cut up, all nice size and built and in shape or whatever, talking about all the war story that was going on and the fighting and all that stuff. And right now is when he finished that conversation, I would never forget this, that what we had, these young guys like myself, I can remember one guy saying, I can't wait to go to jail so I can get big. So the difference is we are brainwashed thinking and we idolizing the gangsters, the stick up kids, the murderer, the drug dealer, the pimps. And we not even paying attention to the, doctors, the lawyers, the fireman, the mailman, the senator. See, that's where it got backwards. What we have to do is start doing is, no, the working man is not the sucker. The cats that I once was, we was the sucker because we was living in an aisle. Look at those folks now. They all retired, got their 401k plan, got their pension, got everything that they need. So the difference is those that took shortcut is either in the penal, dead, or broken in the skunk, or don't got nothing going on. So when you sit back and you think about it, now, who's the sucker? The working man or the working woman, or the gangsters, the fake gangsters?
These rappers like Jim Jones made it a billboard. I keep coming back to Jim Jones and Dipset.
All right, so look, let's take it easy on Jim right now. Let's find somebody else to use as an example for this particular question.
Listen, it's hard for me to use anybody else because for me, I feel personally like he was the billboard for the East Coast, and you got to give credit due. Nobody wants to be perceived as being soft. In our spirit, in our blood, in our DNA, there is a war brewing because of our ancestors and us being stolen people. So in our blood, we are looking for revenge. We're suffering poverty. We're suffering pain. Everybody, the world is looking for a hero. When you look at some of the dudes that came before our time, you looked at dudes like Tookie Williams, strong, heroic figure that didn't take no shit. So you want to look at the OGs and be reminded of the OGs that didn't take shit, and that passed down. The only difference is like how we said in the beginning, the integrity didn't pass down. The caliber of the man didn't pass down. The only thing that passed down is, okay, I know how to throw up a gang sign. But all of the things that made a warrior didn't pass down with this new generation. So what you are seeing is a bunch of dudes trying to hold on to that old warrior spirit of being a thoroughbred, but now it's in the form of a gang member, because you don't see dudes no more that say, yo, who is that? That's such and such over there. Who he down with? Himself. We had a day and a time where dudes, like every neighborhood had a dude. Even if he never caught a body before, you just knew he was nothing to play with. Now you can't identify these dudes no more, because in order to be that dude, you got to be recruited in the gang. And see, here's the thing, which makes gangs so dangerous. The rappers are a billboard for the gang activity and the gang life. But when you get to the penitentiary and you locked up, you've been a thoroughbred your whole life, but you just got locked up in Mod 2 C-74. And you got 50 people on this side, 50 people on that side. It's 100 people you in between. And 45 of them are gang members. You can't win. So now you either stay quiet or you get into a situation. And this is what happens a lot in jail. You find yourself getting into a situation where you about to get it on with somebody that you know you're breaking half, but 10 dudes just stood up with him. Now you sitting up there thinking the art of war. I have to become a gang member in order to have the same power so I could crush these weak dudes. But normally I wouldn't even want to be a part of this. Do you know how many dudes come home from jail feeling disgusted that they even joined that shit? But it was a strategic move to keep them strong, because you get to a jail, now you in a jail where these dudes is ruling and you got beef with them and they passing metal out, you getting poked up by them knives. You don't have a knife. You don't have a razor. You coming into a war that's already started. Now you got to pick a side. So now when you seeing some of the strongest warriors in the penitentiary, or Blood, Crip, or whatever gang, and they coming home and you heard about what they did in there, and now the rappers is like, whoa, Jim Jones, what did he just do? He got a beef with Whack. First thing he do is have Mel Murder call him on the phone. Non-Trey gangster. This dude is out of commission, doing probably a decade in jail, and he uses his jail strength, his street strength, to glorify once again, oh shit, that's Mel. What does it does? This is Jim. I want to be down with Non-Trey again. This is what it's doing. It's a gateway. It's recruiting. When you look at Jim Jones, you see success. Diamonds, nice cars, still stuck in the hood. He don't show you how to get out, but he show you how to advertise this gangster lifestyle. Constantly telling you, quoting, calling out Mel was out of count. He's off the count right now. He's still putting them back in. He's recruiting through that. Until you stop this gangster persona and glorification of the gang culture through these rappers, the rest of the youth is doomed. You see a janitor, child support breaking his check in half. He barely coming home with the rent. He might be able to buy this kid a pair of sneakers every 3 months, every 6 months. You see a rapper come through the hood. Every last one of these new age rappers is sitting on bricks in their pocket. They got the bag for real. When dudes be talking about, and I was laughing at a little clown dude, one of these little clown dudes, I ain't gonna say his name. He was sitting up there talking about, yeah, I'm trying to get this bag. No, you getting an envelope with about $250, $300 in that envelope. The bag is what these rappers got. They're carrying duffel bags of $250,000 and $1 million in these bags. So when you're looking at these rappers getting this kind of money in this day and time where CDs are not even being sold, and then you're looking at this janitor, who you gonna want to be like? the janitor or the gangster blood rapper or the gangster crip rapper?
Now we got a lot of guys calling themselves OGs. Now, what's an OG to you guys? I'm gonna start with you, Glaze.
You know what, man? Sit back and think about it. Titles. And how do people get these titles? And where do these titles come from? Like, to me, when you sit back and if you want to give somebody OG, it's like right now where it's like what it's supposed to stand for, original gangster, I'm saying? Old gangster. But it's like, I know a few people like that, my guy, OG Shabay, shout out to Shabay. Even as a kid, like I say, when I was coming out the house at 14, carrying my pop, nickel plated 22. And he heard about it. We used to leave Cypress, go up the plaza to try to hang out with the girls, got a nickel plated 22. He put the drop on me to try to take that nickel plated 22. Just so happened I didn't have it on me. He wound up getting it, not for me. But what I'm looking at is the fact he wasn't just taking it just to take it from me. He done did a bit. He done been through all this. So what he was going to do is take it from me because guess what? First of all, you're going to do something stupid with it anyway. And you don't need to be out there. So even with that being said, it's like it's a lesson. Sometimes you got to take a loss to win. So when you start looking at OG, if these OG is not out there coaching, counseling, training, and trying to tell these cats when they right and when they wrong, then they shouldn't be OG.
I agree with the brother, and just to add on to that, it's like OG meant original gangster. So I don't want to do what these dudes is doing now, where they got different definitions of like with Tekashi and Wack, right? Tekashi has his own definition of what a gangster is. You cannot change the definition of what, like an OG is Mickey Barnes would have been an OG. Brian Glaze Gibbs would have been an OG to me. These are dudes that lived that lifestyle and they paved the way. Now, in today's time, people will say an OG is a working man. No, that was never the case. It was never the case. An OG came with status. It's somebody that really, really paved the way in these streets and ain't take no shit. That was an OG, somebody that been through it, that weathered the storm, was an OG. Now it's like people are changing the definition, everything. That's why I tell people, and I always say in every video that I possibly could, I used to consider myself to be a real. Now I don't want no parts of that word because anybody can fall into the category of being a real. I don't want to be a real anymore. I'll be the gardener. If it's a Sunday night, I'll be the cook. I'll be the chef. You know what I mean? I don't want to be that gangster persona. I don't even want it no more because it's going to cost. Words are spells. If I keep on speaking these words and calling myself, I have to live up to this. You can be an OG in the street or you could be an OG in the penitentiary. It's for you to choose. But understand, when you use that word as OG, you had to walk a certain line and live a certain lifestyle to accumulate that respect of an OG. Now today, to tell you if my grandmother's an OG, and she might just be. Because she had to go outside and take them burners, them guns from them young boys out there, bring them in the house and give them something to eat after she whooped their ass.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Glaze, we've been doing a lot of projects together. We did several interviews and stuff like that, and talk behind the scenes. Now, people will say, "Yo, Glaze cooperated. Why you cool with Glaze? How you cool with Glaze? Such and such and such, right?" And this is what I always tell them. I say it doesn't matter to me that Glaze cooperated because Glaze is using his life as an example for what he doesn't want people to go down that road. And that's what he celebrates. That's what he glorifies. He glorifies the fact that he's changed. He glorifies the fact that he don't want people to make the same choices that he made in his life. And that's what he celebrates. He could have came home easily and still been that Brian Glaze Gibbs guy. We already know his jacket. So people not going to run down and play with him, just like some of the other people that we know that's out and about in the world, that has the same things, but they choose a different route. But I say I don't have an issue with Glaze because Glaze is using his life as an example, and that's his road to redemption. And I can't judge him on that. To me, he's a good man because We need more people like him instead of coming home glorifying the BS. You know, walking and actually living in their truth, which is rare. So, you know, I appreciate the conversations that we have. So I just wanted to add that in there before we, and the same thing with Hassan. You know, people don't, I got a different understanding with Hassan. We got a different understanding with, you know, our communication, you know, however we communicate, whatever it is, we got to understand it with each other. So people say, oh, he's too much. I say, yo, look, you got to understand him. That's just how he is. Like, you know, coming from New York, everybody is colorful. Everybody got those type of personalities. It's a Hassan from every neighborhood. They just don't know that because they're not from, you know, what the area where we come from. But throughout the country, it's people, it's Hassans, it's everywhere. It's Glazes everywhere. They just don't have the voice. But just to let people know that these are two good brothers, man. So when y'all see them, you know, because we get a lot of, every time me and Hans do something, you go in the comment section, they going crazy. He got a lot of love, but also he got a lot of critics. So I'm just letting the people know that this is the relationship that we got and the understanding that we got, and that's how we able to rock and coincide and without no issues.
Let me expound on what you're saying, right? Well, people got to understand it. In Islam, right? First and foremost, in order to be forgiven by the Most High, for those who believe, you have to learn to forgive, right? That's for one. For two, on the day of judgment, it says, you know, in Hadith, well, Allah says basically that your feet will bear witness to you of the unlawful places that you traveled. Your hands will bear witness on that day and testify in front of God for the illegal money that you have gained or which you have stole. Your eyes will testify against you for the unlawful things that you anticipated and you watched. Your ears will bear witness for the things that you entertain. So it's like, for me, coming from a Muslim perspective, in order to be forgiven, I have to forgive. And on the day of judgment, your body will bear witness against yourself. You will tell on yourself for the things that you have unlawfully done, and you reap what you sow. You will suffer in this life as well as in the hereafter for the things that you did. And that's what I believe in firmly. So when I see a brother like Brian Gibbs, Glaze, taking the time out to tell these young boys, hey, that stove is hot. I don't want you to go through the same things that I went through. I could respect him to whereas when I look at an Alpo and I'm looking like, hold up. So you think that you just gonna come home and live your best life after bringing so much destruction to the Black community? It's like credit. You in debt, you owe. We don't get the opportunity to destroy our village. And because we came home, I did my time. No. Now you have to put back what you've taken away from the village. And this is how you get the blessings. And you do what Brian Gibbs Glaive is doing. He's going out there and saying, yo, let me figure out my way to redeem myself with the younger generation, because the men out here will tell you not to snitch, but that's it. They're not contributing nothing else to the community except for don't tell on me while I destroy this community. Huh? So you're committing genocide on your own brothers and sisters in the community, and the only rule is don't snitch. To whereas a brother that did snitch realized that, you know what, there's more to life, and he wanted his life back. But at the same time, in the process of him getting his life back, but he's told, I'm going to make sure I stick my hand in the hellfire or extend a rope down or shine some light on some darkness or somebody that's in darkness and save them from the same footsteps that destroyed me. I can respect that in a man.
Let me piggyback off of that, man. Look what you're saying. And see, that's what people don't understand. We talk about don't snitch. What I think, honestly, the biggest focus should be on, how do we make sure these kids do not even put themselves in that predicament in the first place by doing the right thing the first time? The objective is we fall in love with the wrong thing. Like you say, the gang culture and all that. I want to be. No, there's no such thing as want to be, because the same bootleg stuff you doing, nobody give a damn about that. Like even right now, everybody talk about who's a legend. Pappy. I love Pappy. But the difference is Pappy's never come home. And the difference is how many of these guys talk about, oh, Pappy this, and touch this and all this. How many of them going to see him? How many of them sending money to the commissary? So you talk about legend. Legend about what? When you get older, you're supposed to know better. And the difference is anybody can't stand up to their truth and look themselves in the eye and say where they went wrong at and how they was responsible for causing the situation that's going on and history repeating itself. Then you know what? We live in a life of a lie. So if you can't be honest with yourself, how can you be honest with anybody else? So to me, I'm not mad about the cooperation. I'm mad about I allow myself to get caught up into that predicament in the first place by throwing the brick at the prison wall in the first place. We are kings. We are queen. And we got to understand who we are. And we got to know, like I told these people, I'm not going back. If I got to go around collecting aluminum cans, because I don't think I'm too good to do anything. See, that's the problem. A lot of people think they're better than what they are. The difference is you have to crawl before you can walk. And to me, I had to learn. I had to humble myself. And you know why? I had to start all over again. And when I went from making 40 a day to start all over again, you know what? When I did all that, I wasn't happy. Because you constantly looking over your back, waiting for somebody trying to blow your head off. And who gonna blow your head off? The person that's closer to you. You're waiting for the police, the feds to kick in your door. 1,100 hours of wiretap. People do not understand that. Was it all worth it? Hell no.
1,100 hours of wiretap. Wow.
Now, Haas, how do you feel about people that say, I used to rock with Haas when he first came out, but now he on some other ish now, or now he think he too this or he think he too that now? What do you say to the people that, when you first came out, of course, you didn't have the popularity that you have now. So you've grown your platform to the level to where it's at now. And now I don't like him because he this now, he that now. What do you say about people that the naysayers about your achievement that you reached?
Well, I mean, it's like this, right? You ever heard that song? I know you heard that song. Can you stand the rain? You know what I mean?
Like the head go.
Sing it, man.
Can you stand the rain?
I know. No pressure.
Everybody can't take the pressure. Everybody can't stand the rain. And as it's like, first of all, with me, right? Nothing's changed about me except for the fact that through the verbal abuse and the gang trolling or whatever, I done got more cocky and arrogant. Like, you know what? Now I done put my internet gloves on. I learned how to bob and weave and deck you back on the internet. So it's like, oh, I don't look like this. Even though they called me a victim, I don't look like a victim no more. I look like I hurt you on this internet. You know what I mean? So it's like, yo, and at the same time, when you get to the point to where that your voice is so big that millionaires is extending their voice out to you or calling you behind the scenes because of something that you said. When it gets to the point where millionaires are having dudes in the street reach out to you like, yo, such and such want to talk to you because your voice is so big and so many people are listening and your words are cutting like a knife through cornbread. And the things that you're saying is waking people up. Is like, yo, the internet has never had a voice like me ever before. See, Wendy Williams dealt with celebrity gossip. Hassan Campbell was showing you the cause and effect. When you see FBG Duck murder, I'm breaking down cause and effect and predicting certain things. I predicted Young Vaughn's death, King Vaughn's death, and a lot of other things that happened in hip hop because I could see from a street's perspective. I am bringing an element to this internet that's been missing. Because it was always a code where you can't talk about the street or you can't talk about this or you can't talk about that. If you're doing it and it's harming the community, I can talk about it. I don't care who feelings it hurt. So when people sit up there, it's like, no, his head is getting too big. No, it's just that with stardom and anything that shines comes a darkness of hate, of envy, of greed. I don't look like somebody that's struggling anymore, even though I'm still struggling. I'm just not struggling on your level. So it's like, hold up. This ain't the dude that I signed up for. This was the dude. He wasn't dressing all that. You know, his car wasn't all that. Now everything in his life done stepped up. This is what the problem is, because the message has never changed. The only thing I did was broaden the topics that I deal with to keep the people entertained and still kicking knowledge at the same time.
Now, Glaze, you come from an era that predates the gang culture that we see now. Now, what goes through your mind when you see New York in the grip of a West Coast influenced gang culture?
I'm saying totally different. Like, you know, don't get me wrong. Like, you know, look what you're saying. At one point in time when we was kids, like the late 60s, early 70s, man, you had Tomahawk, you had the Jolly Stomper, you had the Sex Boys on. Let me see, like I tell you right now, man, like you had so many, man. I hate that.
Seven Crowns.
7 Crowns, and you have like right now, man. I hate the one around my neighborhood, and somebody gonna be mad at me because I mentioned it. But the difference right now is you had it, the Hellcats. You had all these, but they went away. And all of a sudden right now is now, like when even people try to say with crews, we didn't have gangs, we had crews. You know, I had the Eminem crew. So, but it was, to me, it was totally different than the gang. It was more, but it was all the same BS, because anytime there's like, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 more people, guess what? You're considered to be a gang. But it's like, to me, like, how did all that stuff came about? And then you start understanding when these guys go to jail, and, you know, right now you got the Latin Kings and they trying to battle off. So they form like the Bloods and the Crips out here. So it go deeper than the original surface. But to me, that was something that it was not a part of my time, and I got involved in.
We just surrounded by, you know, New York right now. We're just enthralled with the gang culture, period. We can't even put it on the West Coast anymore. It's just a gang culture, period.
But what I say is, if we don't wake these young boys up and educate them, they're going to keep finding themselves being casualties of wars in these streets, because they fighting a war that they fighting, but don't know what they're fighting for. And if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. You can be anything that you want. You can be a Blood, you could be a Crip, you could be a GD, Vice Lord, whatever you want to be. But what is the mission? Is what you have to ask yourself. What is the mission? What is my cause? What do we stand for? What are our principles? What make us go to war, and what make us form to peace? They don't have that. So right now, they're just the energy that's being unleashed that's destroying the community. It's a plague until there's some type of structure and law that's enforced on them from the community. Because once the police get to them, it's too late. You're going to do that bid, and you're going to come home if you make it out of the penitentiary.
Yeah, but even right now, like you look at it, man, even, you know, for example, where all this gang is forming from? Is it forming strictly from the street, or is forming from prison, coming and being implicated or implemented back in the street? Because even back then, you know what, Hassan, you did a bid. It's like, to me, right now is back then. You had either you become Muslim or you 5%er. So now what you call, you become Muslim, 5%er, Blood, Crip, or Latin King. So where all this stuff stemming from, and I think it came from the P now back into society.
Tony Montana famously said, "No women, no kids." Now, is there really a street code when it comes to civilians and bystanders? Now, you look at what happened to Donnell Porter. You look at what happened to Honeycomb Brazy's grandparents. Now, when you partake in criminal activity, are you potentially putting a target on your family as well? And are there really any rules left to this game? Now, Glaze, you know, you had an infamous reputation. Hassan, you did what you was doing in the streets. Did you ever fear at any point in time that you guys, by what y'all was doing in the streets, you was inadvertently putting a target on your loved ones as well?
And you know what? Look at that. Like you just say something deep, and the rules are rules, but then again, it change all the time. Look at the situation right now. Here it is. Okay, they kidnapped Fat Cat wife. What part of the game was that? Okay, because they wanted money. They took an innocent woman and snatched her up on the street, broad daylight. They firebombed his mother's house. Okay, regardless. Here it is. His mom, I just left there. She was like, what, 70 at the time? And I'm talking about his sister dying there, 51 years old. You had a 4-year-old in there. You had a 10-year-old in there. You had a 12-year-old in there. His sister died. So the difference is when I look at stuff like that, you take stuff personal. Family's supposed to be left out of it. But in the same token, when you don't lost or you could have lost a whole family, how will you take it? When you get that sick mentality, and everybody's saying the Bible, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, not saying that's what it was supposed to be, but you start sitting back thinking about it. Like you say, even with the rapper that lost his, grandmother and grandfather. No, that should never happen. Because if that's the target, you still ain't get the target. You got innocent people for what? Because that's my relative. You didn't get them. So you just made it worse than what it should be. So to me, all kids, I'm saying, should be off. But the difference right now is sometimes, guess what? When you're not thinking and you allow yourself to get into deep, nothing is off limit. And you always have that tendency, like I did, live to regret your past behavior and transgression. But guess what? Only thing you can do now is deal with the demons each and every day. Ask for forgiveness. And that's why I always quote this, man. Let he or she, without sin, cast the first stone.
Now, the shootings are up. Murders are up all over the U.S. Glaze, you came up during the 80s. Hassan, you came up during the 90s with me. Now, when crime was at an all-time high, we survived the era where stick-up kids was dropping stuff, Now, do you think defunding the police is a good idea? Because there's been a lot of talk about that, too.
I don't believe defunding the police is a good idea, but I feel like new programs, a new training, the police should be retrained and re-educated on how to deal with the people. If you defund the police, what you're basically telling the police officers, because I had a conversation with a detective, right? I was on a fishing trip, right? And it was a detective female, when she was basically breaking down how, a lot of the officers feel like they're not going to do nothing on it. They're allowing certain things to happen because of the defunding of the police. So, okay, we're not going to risk ourselves for a community where we're getting penalized now because police, like in New York, because of de Blasio, the things that police used to get away with, they get in trouble for. So they figure, like, yo, we fighting crime out here, whatever the case may be, and we being defunded. So now there's less money going into certain things that protect them. We're not going to protect the community. My whole thing is, okay, the community hasn't been protecting the community. It's not going to start protecting the community. I feel like it's cool for people to be stepping up and saying, okay, guns down, gloves up. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful movement. But I'm smart enough to know that there's an element in a group of people inside the hood that don't give a damn about peace or that movement. And when they decide that they're going to come out to turn the city upside down, the only thing that's going to be able to stop them is those police. Because now these brothers like Hocus 4/5 and my brother Akeem from Bronx River, I see those two brothers out there really, really working and going hard. When you a father, there's but so far you can go before the police come to lock you up for trying to stop these young boys. So now you got to sit up there and say, okay, I'm trying my best to stop them. I'm teaching them. I'm saying guns down, gloves up. Let's stop the violence. But at the same time, Shorty ready to go to get his hammer. And now you putting me in a position that I gotta choose. Do I go get my hammer and knock this young boy off the clock, knowing that the court system does not give a damn? They're not giving me a badge of being this beautiful brother that's out here trying to stop the violence. No, this is my limit now. Now I have to walk away because I'm also a retired gang member. So it's a thin line right there. Now you can't give the police have to do their job. Because when you cut from a certain cloth, like it's not in you. It's not in Hocus to sit up there and say, yo, officer, he got a gun, go get him.
Hey, listen,
Right.
hi. First of all, thank you, man. I appreciate this, man. I appreciate, building with you. Hopefully we can do this again or whatever. I can come on your platform. You can come on mine. I appreciate that. And like I tell you right now, keep doing what you're doing. I love that, man. I love it. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. Like I say, long as people talk about you, that means you're doing something great.
Right.
Yo, Glaze, man, we appreciate your time, my brother. Yo, thank you for stopping by. It's been a pleasure and always a pleasure.
Hold on,
I
hold on. I
appreciate
got
you,
it. But
man.
listen, but listen, like I told you, anybody want to know anything about me? Hey, email me. Get your signed copy. You know what I'm saying? Get your signed copy of the Brian Glaze Gibbs story.
Turn it upside, turn it the right way.
Is that right?
Yeah, now it is. Now it is.
So get your signed copy of the Brian Glaze Gibbs story by emailing me, Brian, BRIAN, Gibbs, GIBBS, 1201 at yahoo.com. And like I said right now, man, special shout out to you, special shout out to Info, special shout out to Hassan. Like I told you, I learned a lot from a lot of y'all. Miss T, you know what I'm saying, Up for Debate. You know, like you said right now, it's all about right now, like building together. You know, Bullet Gotti. It's so many different individuals that, you know what, you watch, you see, and you watch them grow. You know what? And what you do is you go to that next level, man. So let's, like I said right now, you need all y'all. Shout out, man. Thank you for all y'all do. And like I said right now, how do we build together? How do we stop people from going against one another, man? And how do we stop them from putting themselves in that predicament in the first place? And let's start honoring and showing the real heroes out there, those people that's got their 9 to 5. You know what I'm saying? Start being better mentoring. That's what life is all about, man. Hit that like button.
Right.
Yo, Glaze, appreciate you, man. Appreciate you, man. Thanks for your time. Yo, have a good night, man. Be safe out
Good
there,
night,
man.
All right, man. One, man. All right, cool. All right.
Peace.
We want to welcome, man, a little brother to the platform, man. Bullet Scotty, man.
Salute,
Now,
salute.
you know, just like Hassan, you might love him, you might hate him, but he got a lot of potential, man. I see it in him, man. So I wanted to reach out to him just while we up here with Hassan, and we gonna just, you know, we just gonna let him build with us. Now, Brother Polite, who's an influencer, writer, motivational speaker, allegedly having some, you know, the R word, with his girlfriend's 14-year-old daughter, which has led to his arrest in Miami. Now, this is all alleged. Now, I'm sure you guys are both familiar with him. But what are your thoughts on these new developments on the brother?
My thoughts is I wasn't surprised. Like I was telling Haas while we was on the phone, I wasn't surprised by this. You know what I'm saying? Because if you really look at it, like I've been hearing things about Polite when it comes to the pimping thing. You know what I'm saying? Being from Brooklyn, I've been hearing that. You know what I'm saying? And him having, you know, ties with certain situations where, you know, a lot of people don't know Polite was with Foxy Brown. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know that, you know, she lost her hearing being with dude, and it was a whole altercation that happened. So this wasn't surprising to hearing that, you know, he got busted for this. A lot of this wasn't surprising. Like you said, Haas, it's like you don't know what these dudes, they be off the meat rack for real.
You know, I knew Polite was sick when he sat there and said that even if Dr. York was a pedophile, he still would be his God. When you think about anybody that touches a child, the most evilest thought is supposed to be the first thought that comes to your mind. With Polite, his thought was, this is my God still. Wow.
Yeah. You know, looking at it now, it's like it's bugged out. To me, it's bugged out.